Hello, Rick here again. Boo. So we're turning the lens of the index back to the Trek universe with this one. So the XINDE present a unique situation in the Star Trek mythos, one that is seldom seen throughout science fiction races in general. That is the presence of 6 distinct intelligent races evolving from a common ancestor. Reptilian, primate, aquatic, avian, insectoid and arboreal, and today we'll be looking at the reptilians. As the name suggests, they evolved from a species of lizard on Xindus, the homeworld of all 6 XINDE subspecies. Although startlingly different, they possess traits common to all the XINDE races, the cheekbones and forehead ridges most noticeably. Being descended from reptiles, however, they have no bodily hair, and they possess a cluster of quiddles atop their skull, and small horns along the jaw. Their scale tones were a range of colours from shades of green to browns, yellows and even occasionally red. They had sharp retractable claws, and as their fearsome appearance probably suggests, they were carnivores, often even indulging in the consumption of live prey. It's likely therefore that they involved themselves with hunting as a sport, and being cold-blooded, they would likely have to have used the same sort of sit-and-wait approaches to hunting we see with earth lizards. Also in common with lizards was their preference for warmth, with their ships often being heated and basked in a warm orange glow. Specialised heat rooms too existed on their vessels, and facilities where a reptilian could go to relax and bask were common. The captain even had his own private one. Now, as a species, the XINDI-REPTILIANs are confrontational, prideful, ambitious and xenophobic. Green and mean, so it would seem. But that doesn't mean that they're incapable of diplomacy. It's just that they prefer a quicker, more direct solution for most results. To this end, they're known for doing their own thing, and individuals are often fiercely independent. They have a natural distrust of most of the other species, the other XINDE included, and this extends doubly so for the primate and arboreals. This disdain is likely ingrained in their psyche as predators who do prey on smaller mammalian wildlife. Among themselves, however, although still ambitious and guarded, they adhere to a strict hierarchy of the military persuasion respecting the chain of command and their commitment to preserving their mission, whatever that may be. In turn, the other races of XINDE often view the reptiles with a certain amount of mistrust and skepticism. The methodical arboreals view the reptilians' tendency to make quick decisions based on the information at hand foolhardy, and even more so the fact that once they've made up their mind, they stubbornly stick to their decisions, even against the other XINDE's judgments. The primates likewise find their arrogance trying, and it seems only the insectoids truly tolerate their behaviour. In fact, as the insectoids only live short lives, they seem to mirror these snap judgments. But on the flip side of things as well, this means that the reptilians and insectoids do clash even more frequently than the other species, though this tends to be smaller scale skirmishes that are then quickly resolved. Their direct approach and naturally aggressive posture has led the XINDE-REPTILIAN to form a powerful military force, and among the XINDE races, they have the well-earned reputation as warriors. It's been remarked that this warrior culture has been on a steady increase in the reptilian society, showing that although not all, more and more are abandoning civilian pursuits such as craft and agriculture, leaving such things to the other XINDE races. High-ranking members of the military often enjoy a higher social status, reflective of their militarised lifestyle. Now, speculating here, but this could be a side effect of the coalition of the XINDE races, the Council. With all the races being forced together by the Great Diaspora, the time after the destruction of their homeworld, the old rivalries and conflicts have faded somewhat with time. Now, not every race of XINDE has to have the presence in everything, in every field. Each race can focus on what they excel at. Arboreals are crafters and thinkers, primates diplomacy and development, aquatics bubble baths, and the reptilians are soldiers. As just mentioned, their homeworld of Xindus was destroyed at the end of a great civil war due to tectonic instability, exacerbated by nuclear devices detonated under the crust set off by, well, you guessed it, the reptilians. Now, it's widely believed that this was mostly an accidental result, as they intended to simply quake their enemies' cities apart, but in typical reptilian fashion, they didn't put much more thought into the process. This, to this day, has stigmatised the reptilian species, and if it were not for the Guardians, also known as the Sphere Builders, it's likely that the XINDI would have drifted apart even further. But when the Guardians unified the XINDI, they stipulated that every race must be present, so the reptiles too took a seat at the council, placing their head of military as their representative. An obsession with conflict has led the XINDI-Reptilians to develop a whole myriad of technologies with a focus on war. A favourite of theirs is a form of techno-larvae that is utilised in their weaponry. This little organism produces a lot of power for the device, and in itself is a form of bioengineered lifeform, meaning that it was created by the XINDI. This little grub can also be found in the Seekers, an autonomous drone that the reptilians created as scouts and hunter-killers. Another interesting bit of bioengineering is the addition of a neurotoxin gland implemented in the reptilian soldiers that would allow individuals to end their own life when under duress to prevent capture or interrogation. Both this and the technolarva suggests that the reptiles do indeed have a functional scientific arm with a specialisation in biotechnology, eugenics and biochemical warfare. This is further supported by the fact that when the XINDI first set out to eradicate humanity, the reptilians offered up a bioweapon as their option, as their contribution. The idea was refused, but in typical reptilian fashion they went ahead and did it anyway. Reptilian ships are a very interesting creation too. They seem designed to mirror certain aspects of their own physical appearance. The colour scheme matches theirs, there's a faint mottling of the hull that almost resembles scales. The design itself is sleek and organic, even supporting an elongated tail structure that is reminiscent of their own head quills. Unsurprisingly, the warship is the second most powerful ship in the XINDI fleet, with the Aquatics cruiser beating it out in terms of raw firepower. However, the reptilian ship is more manoeuvrable and presents a much lower profile from the front and sides, reducing target area. The arrogance of the species is kinda clear when they design their own ships to share their physical traits. Another focus of XINDI-Reptilians is their armour design, which we see plenty of as they are never out of the things. The undersuit is made from a durable purple material, but of standout note is the cage-like wires that run around the suits. Now, it's not revealed exactly what it is that these are for in particular, but they do serve to denote rank among other outfit adaptations. Personally, I believe them to be a form of scattering armour for energy weapons, diffusing the impact of a shot somewhat and even rendering the disruptive effects of a stun moot completely, sort of like a Faraday cage for weapons. Though with tough scales, heightened stamina and greater physical strength than a lot of species, they're already a dangerous opponent in close combat. Because of all this focus on warfare, the reptilians soon found a place among the XINDI as their most active defenders. Their ships were the ones often patrolling XINDI space, and usually first on the scene of a major incident, utilising the subspace vortex technology to traverse the expanse. Perhaps their position as defenders of the XINDI is ironic, considering that they, alongside the insectoids, are responsible for the planet's destruction. Or perhaps you can look at it as poetic justice, making amends. Either way, the xenophobic tendencies of the reptilians cannot be regulated forever, and it soon becomes apparent that certain ambitious members of the species saw a future where the 5 remaining XINDI races were united under reptilian supremacy. Although Gurak Dolim, the reptilian High Commander, was the one who envisioned this, it must be pointed out that his ambitions were fueled by those of the Sphere Builders, and once free of their manipulations, cooperation with other species was eventually learned, making the XINDI as a whole prime Federation members. Thanks for listening to the latest viewer-voted Cultural Index, and now you can decide on what species we see next. So from one reptilian race to another on the opposite side of the galaxy, the Voth of Star Trek. Or perhaps back to a completely different galaxy far, far away, with the Star Wars Serens. I'm going to be working as well on an index addendum on the aquatics, avian and insects as one video, which will cover those 3 in one. And of course, feel free to suggest races in the comments below. They all go on the list. Thanks again. So, like the appropriate comment, cast your vote, and until next time, thanks for watching, and goodbye.